Hey everybody, how you doing? This is about to be a really fun video. Out at the range today with heavy metal, and I'm super excited about this video because of this dude right here. This is my Savage 110 Trail Hunter in 300 Winchester short mags that I just bought this week. I got my Banish 46 can on the end of there, but this is the Savage 110 Trail Hunter. Why I am excited about it is because this is an absolutely budget-friendly bolt action that I've had great success with it. I got this first in 6.5 Creedmoor. Incredible groups. Let me roll in that footage of my 6.5 Creedmoor real quick. So 6.5 Creedmoor, awesome groups there in that video. So I said, I want to buy another one. This one with a little bit more sauce on it. Still a short action because it's 300 short mag. But what we're doing in today's video is doing some ammo testing. So I've got a real nice scope on here. This is an Athlon Ares ETR 4.5 to 30. Pretty good scope. One with 30 power zoomies, but you can still turn it down to 4.5. So good for catching deers. A couple things I like about the 110 Trail Hunter, aside from it being affordable, it has a heavier than average barrel that you see with a lot of deer hunting rifles. I like the Hogue over molded stock, grippy stock. It has the AccuTrigger in it, which is adjustable down to, I believe, 2.5 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. I have not adjusted this one. There's a little bit of a jeweled look in there on the bolt, but overall, all that being aside, really truly all I care about at the end of the day is precision grips. Today we're testing 4 different types of factory loadings. This is actually a part 1 video in a part 2 series. I have bought a ton of ammo in 300 short mag, and I'm going to split it up into 2 videos. So real quick, let me show you what we're testing out of this today. If you guys have seen me do these videos in the past, you pick up a bow light slinger, it absolutely is going to love a certain loading over another. That's why people get all crazy about their hand loads. It's because they can fine tune their precision to their rifle. But today we're testing factory loadings. Maybe sometime soon down the road I'll do some of my own loading for this. But let me show you the factory ones we're testing here today. So here for this video, here's what we're going to be group testing. We've got 180 grain Remington Premier Sirocco. We've got a 200 grain. This one's going to be pretty interesting. 200 grain Federal Loaded ELDX. Show you the tips there. Then we have a 150 grain Federal Fusion. So that's the lightest of the test. It is a lead nose. And then we have another 180, which is a Federal Power Shock. So pretty interesting mix here. Factory loadings, a 180, a 150, a 200 grain, and then another 180 grain. I'm also filming part 2. This is going to be another video, but we've got some 165 grain Hornady, 180 grain Norma, and then some Winchester. I thought I had 2 different ones, but this is apparently just the newer, prettier branding, and I had bought this sometime a while ago. Same BC, same projectile, but I'll probably test both the boxes anyways. Different time between them being loaded. So, but for part 1 today, I'm going to be testing these. Comment down below which one you guess is going to be the best. I've always had really good luck with this Premier Sirocco stuff, and I'm really interested to see how this stuff works. I haven't tested this yet, but let's go back to the bench. This thing's already sighted in. I'm going to take my time, really slow down today, and do my best. Let's see what happens. Should be pretty cool. All right, so back here at the bench, let's get to it. I'm excited. I really enjoy doing these types of videos and just slowing down and seeing what kind of precision we can squeeze into things. But Even though this is a 300 short mag, I got 3 in the mag. Sometimes with a 300 short mag in a big fat case, you only get 2 in there, but with this thing, I could get 3 in the magazine. But got my lead sled out here. This is my Caldwell Lead Sled 3. I'm gonna take our time today. I'm gonna be out here all day probably doing these 2 videos. Slowing down, letting things be cool, doing the whole thing. Give everything the same situation and benefit of the doubt. But I got a pretty good group out of the stuff that I sighted this thing in with, so I'm pretty optimistic we'll find something that may do crazy awesome. But first with the Remington Sirocco, 180 grain. Do my best here. If anything hinky goes or I do a bad squeeze or whatever, I'll call it out, but otherwise I'm just gonna go slow, but edit out the slow parts and show you the good parts when I'm editing it. Here we go. Good squeeze there. Impact is slightly higher. When I do these videos, I always get a bunch of comments that say, you didn't hit the bullseye. That's a terrible group. So it's sighted in with some other stuff, so I'm not necessarily concerned with bullseyes for this video. We're just looking at the groups of where that group is. Everything's probably going to be slightly different when it comes to bullseye, but it'll all be close enough to where we can see it. Send 2 more with this Remington stuff. Whew. It's looking good, guys. Like I said, I've had good luck with this Sirocco stuff in the past. Looks like this 110 loves it. Yep. That's going to be hard to beat that stuff, guys. But again, if you're new to the show or recently new, that is the core and the premise of my entire show, is taking budget-friendly things like this Savage 110 Trail Hunter and showing that you can get precision groups out of it. Man. But yeah, we're gonna let it cool. How hot is it with 3? So with 3 and this heavier barrel, I can sit here and hold it. It's definitely warm, but it's not room temperature. Back here in a minute with what's next. Federal 200 grain. All right, now next is the Federal 200 grain ELDX. This stuff's gonna be interesting. I don't think I've ever tried a 200 grain projectile in a 300 short mag. So I had high hopes with that Sirocco stuff, but this stuff I've never tried, a Federal ELDX. So same thing with these Federals, really slow, take my time and do my best here. Top right target. Point of impact, very similar, so that's something interesting to note. What's the box say for the speeds on these? Muzzle 2820. Not too bad for a 200 grain, I guess. That's about what you'd expect. Ooh, guys. I love it. So the point of impact is essentially exactly the same as that 180 Remington stuff, so I like this 200 grain, man. It could be a good long range round. 200 grain ELDX should have a good BC on it. Did they print it on the box? Man, that drives me nuts when they don't print the BC on the box. Anyways, let's try to finish this group out good. Good squeeze there. It's definitely going to come in under an inch, but slightly bigger group than those Remington 180s. So, gonna let it all cool here. I'll be back in a few minutes, and we're gonna get on to the next one. All right, so what's next? Federal Fusion. This is going to be the lightest of the test at 150 grain. Interesting to see how it likes these. These are some of the most expensive videos that I filmed. But that aside, these are some of the most fun videos that I filmed, just seeing what things like. That's a point that some people haven't experienced or maybe not learned yet or understand. You can't just go to Walmart and pick up a random box of ammo and expect it to do great. You might do all right, but chances are the first thing you pick up probably isn't going to be the best grouping. Now, will it group an inch, inch and a half? You know, most modern things these days will do pretty decent. If you got a decent trigger squeeze and a good rest, it'll probably group decent. But why be decent when you can get precision and show your buddies, man, look, I got 3 touching at 100 yards. That's what puts a big grin on my face. But these are the 150 Federal Fusions. Bottom left target here. Do my best. Point of impact remaining very similar, about an inch high with these 150s. Grouping good. Grouping good. Definitely saving this brass, 300 short mag brass. My rest jumped off the table here, but another under an inch group. I've had some pretty good luck with this fusion stuff over time. I want to say my 25-06 loves this stuff. It's been a minute since I had that one out, but yeah, I love it. That's going to be real close to that Remington one. That might be the winner here. We'll have to see, but we'll let it cool here. And that stuff's fast. So the box says 3250 with the lighter 150. So with this setup, we could probably pick the heavier ones, the middle ones, or the lighter ones. Some people like weight, some people like speed. But next, I'll be back with this Federal PowerShock 180s. All right, here we go. Last one we're trying is these Federal PowerShock 180s, the pretty commonly known blue box Federal deer catching rounds. Is generally pretty budget-friendly stuff. It's comparable, I'd say, normally in price to like a core locked. You can normally find them at most big box stores. Walmart, Federal, or Walmart carries them. I see sometimes. Here we go. Federal PowerShock 180s. Good squeeze there. That was up and right. Now, was that me or are all these gonna go up and right? I don't know. We're fixing to find out. Felt like a good squeeze. 300 short mag, so it's got a little kick on it, but it's honestly not that bad, especially with the can on there. Definitely can't stay in the scope though. Okay, so we found one that it doesn't necessarily like too much. Right now, if that doesn't get any bigger, that's going to be like a, I don't know, 1.5 inch group, maybe a little bit better. Send the third one. All right, so not terrible, but not great. So interesting, 3 out of the 4 we tested today did pretty good. I'd say some of those borderline great groups, but let's go measure these groups and we'll see how we did. Remember, this is just part 1. Here in a minute today, I'm going to film a part 2 series and do 3 or 4 more loadings in a separate video. So let's go. I'm going to put this in the shade again, let it cool again for the part 2 video, but let's go measure these groups that we got here for this video. All right, guys, I probably got a huge smile on my face because I am absolutely tickled to death. I think I said it back there at the bench. Literally, the premise of my show is to show you that you don't have to spend a fortune to get good groups. It might take a little time figuring things out, so on and so forth, but you can get good groups without having to spend a fortune. And that Savage 110 Trail Hunter, hey, that's the second one I've had do under 1/2 inch groups at 100 yards. Let me flip you around. I just measured these with the calipers. Let me show you the groups here. So, in the order that we did them, those Remington 180s, Sirocco's, however you want to say it, 0.41 inch group. The Federal 200 grains, the heaviest of the bunch. Still not terrible with a .76. I think most people be real happy with that. That might be a good long range one too, being a heavier weight. And then we did the Fusion. Second best, guys. 1/2-inch group with Federal Fusion. I'm honestly not sure if they load this anymore. I think they might have canceled this stuff. So this is some old stock I got a while ago. And then we found one that Savage doesn't necessarily like in those Federals 180 grain soft points. So these out of the list would be the cheapest. If you were to pick them up, then these would have been probably the second cheapest. And then these two, I'd say, are more premium, more expensive stuff that you ought to expect good results out of. Those Sirocco's, and then these Federal Premiums. Those are kind of premium. That one even has it in the name. And these are kind of more budget friendly, so even that much cooler to get a good group out of that with the Federal Fusion. But hey, there you go, guys. 3 out of 4 at 100 yards got better than an inch. That's pretty sweet. Now you can see why I had high hopes on this thing based on my 6.5 Creedmoor groups. But there you have it, guys. I'm not going to ramble on about this because I got a whole nother video to film. It's still cooling down for part 2. But like I said, make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for part 2 video. I'm about to do the same thing with 4 more. But there you have it, guys. Savage 110 Trail Hunter in 300 Winchester short mag. Did pretty good. Quite honestly, it exceeded my expectations. I didn't expect 3 out of 4 to do under an inch. I knew we'd probably find at least one that did real good. I'd say we found 2 that did real good, and we found 3 that did under an inch. Depending on who you're talking to. Some people say, I've been at the range and people tell me that a 4-inch group was real good and they were excited about it. And I let them go on and be excited about it. But I get excited when we get them all touching. That just blows my mind some days that we can sit down and do that. But hey, appreciate y'all watching. If you haven't heard of these Savage 110 Trail Hunters, give them a look. They're making these in a bunch of different loadings. Like, I think 223, even up onto some real big ones, including 300 short mag. But hey, appreciate y'all watching. If you haven't already, make sure you check out WHOTEEWHO.com. We got a free newsletter on there. I'm doing giveaways and stuff if everyone who's signed up on that page. Also, we got stuff like the True Timber WHOTEEWHO hats and a bunch more on there too. Truly appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you on the next one. I'm gonna let this cool for a minute, get me a water break, and then on to part 2. Stay tuned for that. Appreciate y'all. WHOTEEWHO.